one of the more interesting things to me about this process of I had never had been a part of making golf clubs before, so I didn't really, and I'm kind of a golf geek, and I know there's a lot of golf geeks out there too. So, can you tell us a little bit about the process of how we went from
Concept to creation,
whiteboard, to the steps that it goes through to get a finished product? 'Cause I found that so interesting. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a fun part of my job, you know, having started designing club heads in 1986, I've evolved from, you know, to where, you know, I began in what people would say a dinosaur stage of making hand models and actual hand drawing blueprints, you know, for them, to now incorporating a little bit of the old school with a little bit of the new technology as well in the design. But it's still any of the processes. Once I get the concept of how I want to design something, I will hand make an epoxy model, you know, for each one of the heads, because I, you know, play the game, and I've played well at times. I have an extremely good eye, you know, for what I want when I put the club down on the ground, and I need to see it physically in my hands. You know, I can't start the design on a computer, on a CAD screen, because I just can't see what it looks like in the playing position well enough to say, yes, that's what I want, or no. So I hand make all epoxy models of the heads, tweak, grind, mill, machine, and the whole thing until I get the look I want with that. Then once that is, and I will go ahead, you know, and check dimensional specs and be able to check volume of it, so I know I'm on track with what the head weights need to be. Even with the epoxy models, I can check center of gravity, you know, to know where I'm at, you know, from the placement of that. Obviously, the final of that goes in the CAD program, you know, with that. But once I do the epoxy models, you know, and then I'll do a basic set of dimensions, you know, which is about 57 different things on each club head, then that, you know, is going to be turned into a CAD program, you know, and then the CAD program, you know, is all set up so that everything can then be converted from the CAD file to then machine the dies, the molds that are actually used to, you know, produce the bodies of the heads, or in the case of the low loft club, also produce the face plates, you know, the high COR face plates for the heads. With that, from the CAD file, I will get then what people will call a 3D printed model or a rapid prototype model. This is only for me to be able to check shapes, you know, to make sure that the CAD file now has everything that I did in the hand model, you know, the handmade model, you know, for each of the heads. Once I approve that, then dies are cut, first prototypes are manufactured, and those are the first testing samples that come in, you know, for hit testing to see if everything's moving along based on your test results and the actual measurements of the first pre-production heads. Then tweaks and changes can be made, which we did do, you know, on a few of the heads on this set. The dies are changed to incorporate whatever little tweaks we do. You know, a next set of test prototypes come, and we go through hit testing, measurements. If that seems to be pretty good, then we'll bring in more of a focus group, you know, of different golfer types to be able to hit it and get feedback from them. Not just on performance, but on cosmetics and looks, you know, of the head as well. So like Jaacob said, you know, this was something that he came to me in the fall of 2013. I began work on it right after he left. And it was, you know, an ongoing process to make sure that everything was right. Because remember, the goal is performance on this. The concept of single length is solid, you know, from this identical swing feel, because everything that relates to the feeling of the golf club is identical. And then the identical setup and stance and and swing repeatability you get from having all the clubs be identical. That part's set in stone. Whether or not you can get it to work, that's what took, you know, and work properly, you know, that's what I took an awful long time to do in this set, and that's what we're really pleased, you know, that it works, you know, is probably the best way I can put it.